Good. Thanks for joining us, everybody, for this webinar today, Revolutionizing ESM with Jira Service Management. We've got a great presentation. We're going to walk through a number of items, and we've got a special guest speaker who we'll introduce shortly. But before we get into it, just a few housekeeping items. So the agenda for the meeting today is quick introduction. So we'll introduce you to Avant, tell you who we are and what we do. We'll provide an introduction to ESM, Enterprise Service Management, and explain what a platform can do to help your business and how you can benefit from this type of solution. We're going to go through a couple of case studies and demonstrate how we've been able to leverage ESM tools and help provide improved work management solutions for our customers. And then we're going to hand it over to our guest speaker today, who's going to walk us through Atlassian's approach to ESM. And then we have a gift card at the end, and finally Q&A. So as you guys are coming up with questions, feel free to add them into either the chat or Q&A, and we'll be monitoring those. And then we've saved some time at the end to work through those questions. So introductions, myself, Ryan Hanna. I am the president and CEO of Avant. I founded the Atlassian practice here at Avant back in 2013. Day to day, I get the chance to work very closely with our customers from the early stages of projects through to project completion. I've been working daily with the Atlassian tools now for over 8 years, and I've earned my Atlassian certifications in both Jira Service Management and Jira Project Administration. Prior to working at Avant, I worked in large enterprise financial management roles, earning my Chartered Professional Accountant designation with a focus on business management and process improvement. I enjoy spending time with my family at our cabin and playing guitar in my spare time. And fun fact, I do almost have a guitar in every room. Not quite every room, but pretty close. And our guest speaker today is Paul Henry. Paul is a seasoned and results-driven professional with significant experience as a technical consultant in a pre-sales role, strategic leader effective in analyzing the customer's business needs while ensuring a value-based driven approach and long-term customer success. Paul is highly skilled with growing and managing the opportunity pipeline for a region with a proven ability to deliver reliable results while beneficially leveraging internal ecosystems and certified partner communities. So welcome, Paul. And a fun fact with Paul is, like myself, he's a guitar player and not quite a guitar in every room, but he does have 3 guitars in one room. So thanks for joining us, Paul.
I'm working on it, Ryan.
Okay, quick introduction to Avant. For those of you that don't know about us, we are an Atlassian solution partner that's proudly headquartered in Winnipeg, Manitoba. We're an innovative information technology integration and workflow solutions company. Our expertise stems from over 25 years of experience in software consulting and software development. Our team is passionate about software development tools, development processes, methodologies, and most importantly, we're passionate about sharing our expertise with our clients and being a part of their growth and evolution. As an enterprise Atlassian solution partner, we have gained extensive experience working with, implementing, and supporting the Atlassian tools for a broad range of customers, ranging from large enterprises to innovative startups across a wide range of industries. We are highly trained and committed to providing a full range of Atlassian support services, which include the following. So as partners, we provide license management, application administration, migration support, managed hosting, custom add-on development, and agile training and coaching for our customers with a primary focus on the Atlassian tools. The solution areas that we work within include the following. ITSM and asset management, procurement, QA and test management, software development, facilities management, collaboration, enterprise service management, DevOps, and project and portfolio management. So these are just some of the solution areas that we work with our customers to help deploy the Atlassian tools and provide process improvement within these areas to help them drive efficiencies within their business. As a solution partner, we've had the opportunity to work with a lot of great customers over the many years. As I mentioned, from small startups to large enterprises. So we've had exposure to a lot of unique and interesting use cases, and overall just a great group of people for us to share our expertise and help roll out and deploy the Atlassian products to. A quick word about how we like to work with our customers. We truly are believers in the agile process and the agile mindset. Our preferred implementation strategy is to work through the define, design, prototype, demo, feedback, test, and deploy model, as we've got documented here. So this is really focused on iterative and incremental development as opposed to your traditional waterfall style approach, adopting as many of the agile principles as we can in order to truly deliver the most value to our customers. As Atlassian partners, we are advocates and experts on all things Atlassian, including ESM, Enterprise Service Management. We provide specialized training in Atlassian in licensing and initial setup of your products, migrations from server to cloud, post-implementation support, and more importantly, we are the boots on the ground people that support and partner with Atlassian to provide assistance to customers. So without further ado, we'll get into our topic of the day. So what exactly is ESM? In simple terms, we're talking about a process for how we handle work tasks requested from our customers, be it internal, external, or a combination of both. In IT terms, we refer to these as service requests, incidents, problems, etc. Other business units have different terminology for their customer requests, but at the end of the day, it's a work task that has come to us from a customer. ESM provides a framework in how we capture these work requests, categorize, triage, and manage these work items, how we complete and deliver requests to our customers, and how we measure and report on our team's success in delivering their services to their customer base. So what is a service team? Service teams are teams that are servicing both internal and external customers. As an example, accounting, legal, HR, facilities, IT, and procurement. Now, these service teams have customers that they're working with. So who are their customers? Oftentimes it can be employees, contractors, suppliers, or partners, or a combination of all of them. Now, the interesting thing is, how do these customers contact the various teams? What is the intake process? Email, telephone, help desk? So many organizations, this is the situation we find where we've got multiple teams, multiple customers, and multiple channels in order to get their work requests into the system. As you can see here, it can become a complicated matter. So as a new employee trying to figure out how do you contact HR versus legal versus IT, or as a supplier trying to facilitate and support the various business teams you work with. As organizations grow and scale and have multiple teams and multiple vendors and customers, this can become very complicated unless there's a unified solution. So this is where the ESM platform comes into play. So ESM enables us to streamline and simplify the intake of these requests and provide a unified model in which teams are able to submit requests. Those requests are being able to routed and managed and to provide support for those teams. The work with these teams are often complex workflows that often require collaboration and escalations. Okay, so what are some of the benefits that we see within ESM? First off, self-service portal for a simplified and streamlined intake process. As you saw on the previous screen, where customers have to engage with multiple teams through multiple forms, be it email, telephone, that can become challenging. When we can simplify that process for their teams to have a standardized model, this significantly simplifies and streamlines the process to get support requests in. In addition, we can provide improved tracking and reporting. So work management solutions provide means for organizing, keeping visibility on the work tasks that have to be worked on, ensuring quick turnaround times. We can introduce streamlined triaging and escalation procedures. In addition, there's the opportunity for no-code automation, where things used to have to be done manually. The product platforms allow us to automate a lot of the repeatable and manual processes that we used to have to undertake. And most importantly, in my opinion, is the improved collaboration. So gone are the days where it is challenging and it's a hindrance to collaborate with the teams when you need to get support to resolve these matters. by working in a unified ESM solution, your teams have the means in front of them to be able to collaborate and work together to resolve issues in a much faster manner. Before we pass it over to Paul to provide a more of a deep dive into how Atlassian does ESM, I want to walk through a couple of use cases with you guys. So use case number one is a solution for a museum where we've helped deploy a service management solution to help their facilities team. So the challenge that this team was originally facing was that they required a solution to improve input, tracking, and management of service requests for all digital assets within the museum exhibits. Previously, this was done on an ad hoc basis and tracked through either Excel, spreadsheets, email, and even at times sticky notes being left on people's desks. So as you can imagine, within a museum, there's a lot of assets on the museum floor. As shop floor managers would identify areas that need fixing or improvements, this was the means for getting those support requests into the team responsible for fixing these things. And they found that it wasn't being efficient. They didn't have very good visibility on the tasks and things were being missed. So what was the solution? Jira Service Management with a combination of Insight Asset Management. These two products served as the foundation for their incident, service, and asset management solution. Museum staff were then able to walk the floor, daily monitoring exhibits, reporting via mobile devices, any assets requiring work, and submit tickets via their portal. We were able to implement a single home portal where customers could access and submit tickets to a variety of different support teams, dedicated portals to the specific business units in order to submit their requests, properly structured work queues for the support teams to be able to manage and visualize, triage, and assign the work, and improved workflow of the actual tickets to ensure that the various teams were following up and completing the tasks as needed. And the results, the client has since realized a streamlined intake process. They've improved their visibility on support items and ultimately resulted in quicker resolutions on incidents. And more importantly, the overall improved customer experience due to better turnaround on maintenance work. Use case number two was with an insurance company that we worked with who had needed a solution for interfacing with their brokers. So the challenge this team realized is that they were working in Outlook, TeamShare mailboxes, Lotus Notes databases, and in some cases were even printing and mailing paper copies of work requests to their other teams. These work requests came from customers, brokers, and other internal departments, and there was thousands of them that they were dealing with on a daily basis. They're realizing customer satisfaction issues due to their inefficient processes and slow turnaround time on resolving these issues. So the solution, again, was Jira Service Management. We were able to migrate from Lotus Notes and Outlook, and we were able to provide a phased approach, introducing queues, SLAs, and improved workflow. So overall, gave them a much more streamlined place to manage the intake of their work, visualize it, assign it, monitor SLAs in order to make sure they're hitting their KPIs and benchmarks, and improve turnaround and workflow for their customers. Again, the results: improved visibility on work items, leveraged workflow automation, improved collaboration, started establishing KPIs and benchmarks, and end users were more satisfied with their work solution and were able to collaborate with teams. Quick quote before we hand it over from the team to demonstrate how great this solution ended up rolling back. So before Jira Service Management, we were printing off every single email coming in from our broker network and had a manual workflow for pushing paper into filing cabinets. Our printers were so busy that our teams had to book time with them. Ensuring that we had enough paper available to keep up was a process on its own. The team is now able to be more efficient using automation to quickly triage all the requests coming in, quickly taking care of our most urgent requests, as well as easing the two-way communication between the underwriting teams and the brokers they work with. So now we're going to pass it over to Paul, and he's going to talk about how ESM is handled from the Atlassian perspective.
Sure. All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Paul.
Ryan. I appreciate it. Thanks for including us on this webinar. As Ryan mentioned earlier, my name is Paul Henry. I'm a solutions engineer at Atlassian, and I'm focusing on the Jira Service Management. So I've been in the ITSM, ESM space for about 20 years in pre-sales. If some of you remember going back to the Peregrine days, that's where I started my career there. So if you want to go to the next slide, we can talk about ESM. I think you covered this, Ryan. The only thing I would, on the last slide, the only thing I would add there, I think, is what we often see is that ESM, enterprise service management, extends from ITSM processes. Right? Typically, customers start off with IT service management. They build out the catalog, the portal, but then they quickly realize that there's a lot of other teams out there that can take advantage of similar processes, right, and best practices for their internal and their customers, external teams. Right? The goal being to break down some of these team silos and let non-technical teams, like non-IT teams like HR, facilities, legal, marketing, customer service. And you just went through a couple other examples, right? That where there's a place where they have a service that they're providing, and they want to be able to take advantage of some of the enterprise service management capabilities. And so what they do is they set up a portal, and they start tracking that and take advantage of all the goodness that Ryan was showing you. Next slide, please. From an Atlassian approach to ESM, I think that really what we put is development, IT ops, and business teams in a unified platform. And as Ryan mentioned, I think collaboration is key, right? Being able to have all those teams collaborate together. So any team can respond to business challenges and deliver really great customer service and employee experiences fast. And that's really what the goal is to get customer satisfaction and also for employee satisfaction, right? The employee experience is huge right now. Jira Service Management, from an Atlassian perspective, offers an intuitive, it's cost-effective service management solution. It's quickly scalable, as we talked about, as Ryan gave you some examples there, easily maintained by non-technical users and teams too. So I think that's a key differentiator. We find that customers like JSM because it's easy to maintain and they don't have to go to IT for help all the time, right? So codeless setup, configuration, you can spin up a new service, a customer portal, and related request forms, workflow rules, and reports are very quick to spin up. Instead of purchasing dedicated modules for each team, right? Jira Service Management lets customers enjoy a single, adaptable solution that's flexible enough to solve a wide variety of business problems. And we'll go through a couple of use cases ourselves, since what I've seen just my short time here at Atlassian, some use cases that customers are using it for, in addition to what Ryan provided for you before. From a workspace, integrations are available across the platform. They connect requests from planning, pipeline planning, right? Collaboration, task, and product development. So if you're utilizing Jira software or Trello, allows you to continuous delivery of that code, right? So if you're utilizing things like Bitbucket, knowledge management for Confluence, operations, JSM and status page, and all asset inventory. We talked about JSM Insight as well. So the use of Jira Service Management really tends to spread organically across companies. Most often, as I mentioned, it's the IT team that's the first to leverage JSM for service management. But as business teams start interacting with the service desk and the end users, they quickly understand the value, and they start beginning to request service management and service desks for their own teams and spin up projects on their own. So that's how we actually see organically across the companies spinning up instances themselves. Next slide, please. So how to get started quickly, right? So what we do is we can offer templates and workflows in Jira Service Management that are purpose-built for business teams like HR, legal, facilities, and general customer service. These out-of-the-box capabilities give businesses the autonomy to create, update, and maintain their own service desk with minimal IT involvement. For example, HR can use Jira Service Management to manage an employee onboarding use case. Legal teams can shift from manually chasing down signatures to working collaboratively with an automated digital workflow. Have a couple customers that are supporting their salespeople from a product support, so that the salespeople that are interfacing with customers have products they're selling. If there's issues or questions about those products they're selling, they're managing those as well. Have also a university who is as part of clinical trials. They're managing clinical trials. So just think of anything that has a service you're providing that can be a request coming in, and you want to be able to manage that and automate that process. anything to automate that digital workflow, we can handle with ESM and Jira Service Management. So forms too. We have a forms builder. We're allowing teams to deliver exceptional service experiences even faster with our Proforma. Form validation capabilities, they let you quickly collect and validate the information you need about a request before it's sent to the right team for resolution. So basically you want to be able to, I'm sorry, are we too behind, right?
Yep, sorry
There we
about
go.
that.
Sorry. Okay, no
Get
worries.
us caught up here.
Okay. No code, low code editor supports 24 languages and 300 pre-built forms that encapsulate best practices. So you can see there that just the goal here is when you're looking for getting capability of starting quickly, right? The ability to have templates, workflows built out, pre-built for those specific use cases, and forms that are built out really gets you quicker value faster. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit, talked a lot about getting you quickly started, but from a best practices standpoint, and I think Ryan mentioned some of this before, is a single place to go for an opportunity for businesses to have a one portal, displays all available services as a catalog, regardless of whether an employee needs to order a new laptop or they're going to notify HR about a new employee request that started, or maybe request a statement from the finance team. Everything is displayed in one place. So each team has their own service project, and the workflows behind it can speed up that service delivery as well. So we want to automate as much as possible. And for internal customers, first impressions are happening in your customer portal, right? It's where employees go to troubleshoot, submit requests, and view the services that you're offering to them. And in JSM, you can match your brand and the look and feel of the portal with your corporate banner, your logo, and the color combination. So everything you're seeing there can be tailored and configured to look like your corporate web page as well. Also from around best practices is being able to compile frequently answered questions, right? So you'll start being able to take advantage of Confluence, which is a knowledge database. It's a quick win for a lot of teams to be able to build out FAQs to deflect calls coming from the service desk and enable employees or external employees to get self-help, right? To be able to get their own help, not have to call the service desk. So we want to provide as much information up front as we can on that portal. A well-designed knowledge base is enabling your customers to self-serve, and the most common questions and issues you can document and potentially, as we talked about, deflect some of those incoming requests. And the goal there is to enable as much information for an employee or a customer as possible so we can leave the service desk working on the important things. Also, from the best practices, everybody seems to be working in Slack or Teams these days, right? So many business teams have become accustomed to their communications with apps like that. So with JSM, we can integrate with these to provide conversational ticketing, allowing teams to stay in whatever workplace they'd like to use. So I don't have to switch between different browsers. I can stay within Slack, open up tickets, get from a perspective if there's a high priority issue and we want to be able to swarm that incident and be able to get the right people involved, including maybe development teams, right? Since we have Jira software capabilities and integrating into Bitbucket capabilities, right? We can get the whole team is providing that service available and swarm on that to from a perspective of Slack or from a conversational method. So just think of it, whatever tool you want to be able to work, and you can take advantage of the JSM capabilities. So we talked a little bit about the templates and getting started earlier. What we're seeing from industry trends is the customers and non-technical teams are looking to drive ESM adoption. So next slide, please. So business is to continue to pursue the common trends around priorities. Being competitive, right? It's always been a driver, but if you think about all the mergers and acquisitions, and everybody seems to have a digital transformation project going on, right? To be able to set themselves up to compete for the future. So being able to support those digital transformations, doing more with less is definitely something we hear from customers too, right? So and we talked about investing in digital transformation. 96% we saw recently of CIOs are investing in a digital transformation initiative. So it's something that's top of mind for a lot of companies, being able to take these manual processes, as Ryan was talking about before, how through emails or spreadsheets or phone calls, right? Being able to get that into a digital venue, like a service portal, or being able to integrate with Slack or Teams, right? Being able to be competitive that way. Getting resolved answers quickly, right? Attracting and retaining customers really is just the growth engine, and it continues to be a driver at ESM. I've heard, and we kind of talk about Atlassian here, is like every company is a software company now. If you think about it, you're providing services to your end users that are digital and that are software related. So to have visibility into the dev and ops is key. To be able to support all those processes and the services you're providing is what ESM is all about. You'll also hear terminology like shift left. So that's thinking of lean and agile ways of working. You might have heard the term level 0 as well. Those are key words you're hearing within the companies that they're trying to push knowledge and automation as much to the employee or to your customer as possible, right? Being able to have tier support organizations can begin to shift the ability to deliver value to end users much faster. Two common methods of doing that are in knowledge, as we talked about, right? Being able to give them as much information up front to solve their issue, and automation too. So if they do have to open up an issue, we can automate as much as possible on the back end, getting the incident to the right person at the right time, and automating the people of getting the right people involved in swarming that case. Getting increased agility, responsiveness to end users is key, and then be able to get your end users help. Self-help quicker, and letting ITs work on some of the major projects that are impacting the bottom line instead of these, what's the status of my request, or how do I types of questions. So on the back end, what we want to be able to do as part of our shifting left is automate those repetitive actions. And automating repetitive actions can save you a lot of time. So if you're doing things over and over again, right, what are some of the things that you can look at as automation candidates? You can easily automate things that span development or operations team, like automatically closing related incidents and problem tickets to a software update that's being managed by the dev team, for example. So having dev and ops work together instead of in silos, and automating the process between those and building out rules that can automate that. And we talk a lot, next slide, about in Atlassian about high velocity teams, and Jira Service Management is really designed to provide a great experience to the end users. We want to be able to deliver new services with agility, accelerate the flow of work between teams. You'll hear a lot when you hear about Atlassian is that the team concept, that everybody is on a team providing that service. So whether you're a developer or operations supporting the code or development, or the operations supporting delivery and upkeep of that service, you're all on the same team, and you want to be able to have visibility into the same issues going on. Customer. So this is the obligatory customer slide, right? But I like showing this because there's some big names there, names you've heard of, right? Integrate. We've seen some amazing companies adopt the JSM and using it every day in their organizations. We've talked a little bit about some of the key use cases that Ryan had mentioned, some of the ones that I've seen. Some of the things that you don't really think of, from an IT perspective or an HR facilities, but some great services that companies are providing for their users that they want to automate and be able to put in a portal and track and be able to report on and be able to go back and show how they can provide customer service to those users. Next slide, please. And then from the analyst perspective, you're familiar with Forrester, they're definitely taking notice. You'll see that we're in the leader category for ESM strategy. You'll also see that Atlassian made an appearance if you're more of a Gartner subscription. You'll see that Atlassian is in the top right of the Gartner Magic Quadrant as well. So it's a visionary just first year that we came out. So you'll start seeing a lot more of us in the trades, I think, and in Jira Service Management, finding out as companies become more familiar with ESM, you'll just start seeing that name a lot more, I think. And I think the last slide we have is, if you're interested in a little bit more information, you can download the complete guide to service management. It's on our website. It's under white paper /complete-guide-ITSM. I encourage you to read this, and it gives you a little bit more details, but it focuses on kind of where Atlassian's principles and how we approach ESM a little bit deeper than we can get into in a quick webinar. But if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me as well. And appreciate your time. I'll pass it back to Ryan and see if we can open up for any questions, I think.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Paul.
Mhm.
We've got a couple of questions that came in, and if anybody else has any questions, feel free to add them either into the chat or the QA. First question we have is, how have you seen Jira Service Management used to support cybersecurity teams?
Yeah, that's a good question. We had one customer whose cyber team was doing it for they're actually using JSM to manage all their security types of questions. And it was interesting. I was just on a call with a customer yesterday that was telling us that they are using it for their penetration test requests. So from a cloud perspective, that for pen testing, they want to be able to have one centralized place to go there. So from the security operations, things like phishing requests, those types of things, right? Any type of documents requests for security docs, we see. And then I thought the penetration testing from a cloud perspective was interesting too. That's, you think about it, it's just a service they're providing, and it's a request, and it was being done through emails, and it was taking a long time, sitting in an email box, right? So it's something they put in and automate a lot of that process. So those are some key areas I've heard from a security standpoint.
I saw another interesting one where a customer had integrated it with a CVE notification form, so that every CVE that would come out based on their criteria was actually creating an incident within service management. So instead of relying on a handful of admins monitoring one of these CVE forums, they're actually getting the proper tickets and notifications with the proper workflows for triaging, and then ultimately when CVEs needed action, they were able to create the appropriate incidents, and in some cases major incidents through OpsGenie, and manage the life cycle of those resolutions within Jira.
That's awesome.
Another one I've seen is where customers have had their employees being able to forward suspected spam emails into the portal so that they could analyze it and determine if there was risks. So a lot of great use cases. Yeah, lots of great use cases on the cybersecurity side. One other question here. Do you have any use cases where Jira Service Management has been applied to finance teams?
I've seen a lot where more requests, like on the employee onboarding, for example, might be where you get finance involved in, do I need to have a corporate credit card or access to financial applications, right? So I see a lot of that with the finance team will get involved, and HR's onboarding is such a complex process that you want to automate and get the right people involved in it. So you'll see HR teams, finance teams, legal teams as well for legal docs, and that is kind of around finance too, where legal will get involved for any types of document requests or reporting. If finance is the same way for reporting. I see a lot of typically those things were done through emails through to somebody who knew somebody, or there might be a mailbox, a centralized mailbox that they send to, where it'll languish in there for a week before somebody picks it up, right? So what they're able to do is have a portal where they can go out and put a finance request and say, hey, I need a financial report for this particular customer, for example, or as an employee onboarding where I have somebody coming in where I need to, and even something like, bringing somebody on for background checks and those types of things, right?
Yep. Yeah, having worked in large financial industries, it's been a particular area of interest for myself. So simple things like expense reimbursement forms, automating that process, you get a better visibility on where it's at, fully integrated with payroll teams. Other ones where we've seen solutions that are supporting various branches or franchises. If they have challenges closing their books at the end of the day, they're able to reach out to their centralized accounting support teams. And historically, that was done through either phone or email. And hopefully you're getting somebody that's available. But with the service management solution, you've got a team that's monitoring those requests, and they're able to get to them a lot quicker. They're able to establish SLAs so they can set resolution times, define priorities in order to ensure that notifications. So we've seen a lot of really interesting use cases there on the financial side.
Right. I always ask customers to say, if you can automate one thing, what would it be? And that you go, they start thinking about it. It's like, oh yeah, well, every time I make a request over to this, it sits in this, I have to send an email. And so that was like, these are kind of, get some thinking of, wow, this is, these are the services that we're providing. And How do I automate that process? Just, what do I, what's a pain point right now that you wish that you could automate? And that's, it always gets the conversation started, and it gets you thinking about ideas that, hey, if I did this, I could cut the time to respond, customer satisfaction goes up, save money, right? It's all, key drivers to the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a big shift is understanding, are you a service team, right? And I think most organization and most teams are. Most people have a customer that's supporting, whether it's an internal or an external customer, and identifying where does your work come from? What is the nature of the work? And a lot of times those are very manual processes. So this is where an ESM solution can really help to automate and streamline the intake and then the delivery of those work requests.
Yeah, sometimes I find that sometimes those the customers are both, they're internal and external. We
Yep.
have a couple of companies that I work with that have salespeople, like I think I mentioned a little bit before, that are supporting products. So that the customer might come to the website and have a product question, but that would then, in one case, what they want to do is they automated these feasibility studies to find out if that was a new product that the customer is requesting. That feasibility study would then trigger off some workflow and tasks to people that had to go through and say, okay, is this a service that we want to start providing for our users? So it's a great use of something that was a manual report that was going back and forth from a document. Now is included in one portal where a user can request it and then go through and task out and automate the process to build out the workflow to make sure that the right people are getting the right information when they're supposed to do it, right? So it's interesting. We're supporting an external customer, but it's an internal process where they determine whether they want to move forward with that, that request or not.
And I think one of the great things about the Jira platform is the simple licensing model. In some of these other tools, they become more complex with different tiers of licensing. With Jira Service Management, you just have to worry about licensing the agent itself. So customers are free, unlimited. So it doesn't matter how many customers you have that need to submit it. You only need to support or license the actual agents managing and triaging those tickets. And in addition, you have collaboration licenses. So if you have a development team or some other support team that's already working in Jira, those individuals don't have to be licensed in order to collaborate or participate and help support your agent users in order to resolve tickets. So it's definitely a simplified model. And it's also one of the reasons why we see so much adoption of the product, because as one team adopts it, another team gets exposure and says, hey, I have a similar process that we could have an improved intake and improved work management. And it's so simple to stand up from quick modifications to one of the available templates that it can really start to grow within organizations.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot where in organizations will say, well, we asked the IT team for building something out, but they weren't able, they told us a 6-month backlog. So we wanted to support our own process. And as I mentioned in the slide, I was like, it's great because it's for non-technical teams, right? I don't have to go to IT to ask them and then be dependent upon IT. It's I have a process here. I know who's involved there. I can build out a project to support that. I think you mentioned too, where everybody being a software company these days, so we didn't really even talk. We talked about just kind of service requests and the ability to automate those, but then you add a layer on like Jira software or Trello, right? You have the ability not only now you look and span that whole development life cycle too, where I can say, hey, we had an issue with code that we just released, right? Let me go and look and see in Bitbucket what happened, right? So typically you don't have that visibility, even from an IT perspective, when you're managing just an operations silo, right? With ASM, you have the ability to look across the dev and ops and then break down those silos and get a really visibility into a whole service and all the people that support it. One of my colleagues here says, you built it, you own it, right? So it's kind of from a development standpoint, an operations standpoint, we're all on the same team. We all have the same visibility and can work providing that service back to the customer.
Yep, definitely. And getting everybody on the same platform, speaking the same language, understanding the same nomenclature. I've seen massive benefits from that alone. So you don't have people worrying about the naming convention in Monday or Trello. It's the same when you're working in a single system.
Exactly, and the visibility is there. If I'm in JSM and there's a project or a JSW associated with it, right, I can see the stories and I know who's working on it and who to contact.
Yeah, exactly. We got one last question here, it looks like. So what is the best way to implement and roll out a solution like this to non-technical teams? I could tackle this one. So
Sure, yeah, I think that'll be good. You guys
I
have
think
really good experience with that.
looking back to our process, I like to emphasize the incremental and iterative approach, especially working with non-technical teams who may have not have extensive experience with Jira. So there's a lot of really powerful features right out of the box. So our recommendation is to start working with the core product, gain a good understanding of its capabilities. And then from there, we incrementally make modifications to workflows. We add fields to forms and screens. We start to introduce automations. And that way, the team really understands their process with the tool and the tool. I think gone are the days where you have these traditional waterfall style projects where you say, here's our requirements up front. We need the tool to do exactly this. And then someone goes away and builds a solution to do exactly that. The implementations are always a combination of evolution to their process and making the tools work for their processes. So sometimes the process has changed, sometimes they're able to take advantage of the features and the functionality, and sometimes we use the tool to help implement and improve their process. So we definitely focus on an incremental strategy and an iterative strategy, focus on delivering value in small chunks, things that people can work with right off the hop. So adding a portal with a couple of different request forms. As they get used to that functionality, we can add new forms. We can build out the forms to capture more information. We can introduce SLAs, improve queues, introduce automations. And these are all things that can be built upon. They don't have to be there day one. But even with that said, out of the box, those things are there day one, but we can start to refine them and build upon them and make them more detailed and specific to each customer's use case in that incremental and iterative process. So that's our experience and how we have found the implementations work best.
No, I definitely agree. That's a great approach. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that is all the questions we've got right now. So next up, we've got a quick draw for a couple of Amazon gift cards here. So I'm going to go to the draw board here. First winner is Teddy Thomas. Congratulations, Teddy. We'll be reaching out to you and figuring out how to get a gift card for yourself. Thanks for joining us. And the next one is Jesse Marwaha. Hope I pronounced your last name correctly. Thanks for joining us, Jesse, and congratulations. We'll reach out via email, the one you used to register, and we'll be in touch in order to get that. And then lastly, TJ Fogarty. Thank you for attending, TJ. We'll reach out via email and get in touch. All right, so that brings us to the end of our session. If there isn't anything else, we'll let everybody go. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any other questions on enterprise service management, Jira Service Management, or any of the other Atlassian products, feel free to reach out to us at Avant, where we're happy to help and to talk about how these solutions can further help your organizations. Have a great day, everyone. Bye now.